up, y'all? You already know it's your girl Tay coming at you today with a review of the Hulu series called This Is Us. I will be reviewing season 5, and on this particular episode, I will be reviewing the 2-hour special with episode 1 and 2. So stay tuned. As the episode begins, the first thing that we are reminded of is the last words that Randall and Kevin exchanged, which were, very hurtful things. And with this scene, I just was reminded about how much Kevin annoys me. Like, he is the complete physical embodiment of white privilege. So when he made that comment about the worst day of his life is when Randall was brought home, I'm like, yeah, I can see that, because Randall is who has made you question your entire existence, your ego, because he is a decent person and you are not. Actually, Randall is a magnificent guy who excels at everything that he does. Whereas Kevin, he's complacent with his white privilege. And the reason why he says that to me is because, Randall pushes Kevin to be somewhat of a decent human being, to put some effort into being a decent human being, to put some effort in anything, because he is complacent with his white privilege. As Kevin is ringing the doorbell to Kate's house, we see her, be like, give some distance. They are really trying to practice social distancing here, because Kate has a little one that is very much so subject to catching the virus. And so when that happens, that is when we are informed on what time setting this is, which is during the pandemic. Kevin has to break the news to Kate and Toby, which, Toby can be so clueless sometimes. Anyway, so Toby just like making all of these guesses about, okay, what's the big news, guy? And it was hilarious because he he guessed that if Kevin got someone knocked up. Yep, he did. Which is, definitely a Kevin Pearson type move. Kevin got Kate's best friend Madison pregnant. Out of all the people, he's a very hot guy that he could have slept with and get pregnant with twins. And it's just like, I would have been pissed if I was Kate, because it's girl code. Because not only did you sleep with him, but you got pregnant with twins. And it's like, why are you so okay? Why are people so okay with betraying Kate? I don't like that. Honestly, I thought Kate was going to be upset. Did y'all see the look on her face? Let's go ahead and forward to a little bit later in the show where Madison and Kevin are talking and they're speaking about living arrangements. And so Kevin has this great idea that he will rent out this huge condo or some type of living space for them to live in, and she could have her own separate quarters. Now, see, she said no, but me, I don't mind if you don't mind if you do, okay? I would not be turning that down at all. Shoot, because I don't even know you like that no way. Yeah, I want my own space, so that way I can have my own space. This scene, it was extremely awkward. Like, I could really get the awkward energy. I could see the awkward energy. That is because they do not know each other like that at all. Really, even more telling of the situation is that, you know, she offers for him to stay in a guest room instead of sleeping in a bed with her, because they are really strangers who did a one night stand, ended up pregnant. After the news is spread to Randall, we see that they are not still on good speaking terms, because they both end up sending really dry texts instead of really saying what they wanted to from the heart, because we see them type one text, and when it comes to the scene for the response to be shown, it's a completely different response. So as he is texting Kevin, Randall sees a notification of the death of George Floyd, which was wrongfully blasted for the whole public eye to see. So he actually ends up watching this disgusting public execution. And of course, his mental health is negatively impacted by it. And so I really love how this other narrative storyline is being developed, because it is rooted in realistic events, and it's giving us the nuance of being a black man with a family, seeing another black man being executed. Having all of that really takes a toll on your mental health. So after he views this public execution, it starts to affect his relationship and his vulnerability with his therapist. And so that is because she's a white woman. Hello. So can't no white woman ever fully see where you're coming from as a black man, seeing another black man in 2020, when racism, when slavery was supposed to be dissolved, be publicly executed. There's not going to be ever a level of vulnerability for especially a man, and a black man at that, to feel comfortable enough to do that, because you just simply will not understand his perspective. And one thing about that as well is that it's when we are facing these situations, having these discussions, it just, I don't know even if it's just me, but I get just a feeling of rage of it being unfair that I have to be on this side of the conversation, because this is someone in my community directly we are talking about that has died over and over again. So you continue to only sit from a place of privilege, where I have to be someone you always just have to feel sorry for. And feeling sorry for someone is completely 100% useless. The death of George Floyd really impacted the household, because now it seems like no one has any energy. Everyone is drained of energy they have on a station that's going over all of the political news, all of the protests, in spite of this situation with the public execution of George Floyd. And we have little baby girl Annie actually just asked, listen, can we change the channel for a second? Because although of course we stand with solidarity, it just is really, really draining being surrounded by that energy 24/7. And then they changed it to an episode of Jeopardy, and here, now this was some symbolism right here, okay? Because we have a black family who is on the TV cheering and celebrating, which is a complete juxtaposition between them who are on the TV and the family that is sitting on the couch drained of energy. And not only that, then we have both a black man and a white woman. You know how it is on Jeopardy. They have to shake hands before they answer questions. So they cordially shake hands. And in that scene, it just really, I would say, stood for solidarity of all races and what life really could be, should be, and what all of the racial uprising is striving to move towards, literally as they are watching Jeopardy. Then we cut to a couple more scenes later, and Belle is trying to pursue Randall. It's his birthday, okay? She trying to give him some birthday cake. The birthday cake. Okay, girl, I know that's real. So we learn that they haven't had sex in a very long time. And this is because, again, of the mental impact that seeing that public execution had on him. Because Beth said herself she wouldn't do it. She couldn't do it. Which, I mean, I'm absolutely 100% with you, sis. Because seeing a public execution, really, I mean, literally poisoning your own mind like that. And then it's also the disrespect that is just so awful to me. So really, Randall, he did it to himself. He did it to himself because now he has to deal with all of the conflicts of guilt. Feeling guilt for seeing a black man be publicly executed, leaving his children behind, whereas you get to be home with your 3 daughters and your wife still living and thrive. Even having fear that maybe one day your life may be taken by a white man because of racism, leaving your family behind. You can't get in the mood because of that guilt. You can't get in the mood because you visually in your mind, because you expose yourself to that, see it, and it has poisoned you. An important topic is brought up by Randall, which is he's also not excited by his 40th birthday because he doesn't even know for sure after 40 years if that is his actual birthday or not. So after that, it cuts to the past when Randall's birth mother and his birth father, William, were still alive. And she's definitely giving me Black Panther woman type vibes. I absolutely love it. And she starts speaking on the war on drugs and how it even affected her negatively because she became addicted from heroin from the war on drugs, which is very important to know. So we finally get to the cabin because all of the family, except for Randall's family, went to the cabin for the 40th birthday celebration. And we learn here that Madison trips and falls, and she falls on her stomach, and she is scared because she hasn't felt any kicks in about 20 minutes. And so now they have to find their way to a emergency room so they can check on their babies to make sure that they are okay. So, drama child. Thing I will say is every time I see Madison, my anxiety goes up because she seems to never be happy. Like, something is always wrong, or she's always worried. So then we transition on back to the past with Randall's birth parents. And this was just such a tragic scene because as William is holding newborn Randall, he is watching 2 white men trying to resuscitate the love of his life back to life for not only himself, but for their newborn child. And it is a fail. And one thing that really bothered me about this scene was the way that one of the of the ambulance guys, they had a real nasty attitude. Like, he was asking questions and then asking, are you high, being impatient about the man answering like he is not witnessing the love of his life be dead, just being hella inconsiderate. And then he made another comment about the guy saying that, oh, we're gonna have to call child services on him because this is a hot mess. The mother, she says that she is going to go to town by herself so that way she can buy her babies a cake. And I'm just like, lady, why can't you just sit down somewhere? Sit down. Sit down. And then we see that when she starts on her journey to getting the cake, she thought that somebody was William. You are clearly not in the right state of mind, ma'am. So Malik goes over to Randall and the family's house because he's trying to celebrate his 1-year anniversary with his boo, okay? And so he sees Randall sitting on the doorstep. Now, child, I know he did not make the comment talking about some, they say check on your strong friends. Now, you knew better. You knew better, Malik. And then, also, one thing about this show is you can definitely tell that they got some people with some burner accounts on Twitter because they be saying a whole bunch of stuff that you would see on Twitter, like, and it sounds like it is coming straight off of a meme screenshot. But this was so good for Randall to have this conversation because, I mean, this was the first time he was able to connect and conversate with a black man on exactly what was going on in the world. Like, yeah, he had his woman. He could connect on that level between another black person because she is black woman, but he also lives with 3 other women. So he finally, when talking to Malik, got that experience to be vulnerable with someone who directly understands where he is coming from as a black man. At the hospital, while the couple, Madison and Kevin, are waiting on results as to what is going on with their children, he, I mean, kind of, sort of, but not really, but I guess we gonna say so, asks Madison to marry him. It wasn't really phrased as a question. It was really more of a statement. But okay. But because Randall gets the notification about his mother being lost, he then decides to go to the cabins. Okay? And once he gets there, he arrives, and guess who answers the door? Kevin. And it was just so awkward. They didn't say anything to each other. So let's go ahead and forward a couple of scenes ahead, and we can get to both Miguel and Toby having a discussion. And what I have really observed from this series is that Toby and Miguel are kind of like the black sheep of the family. And I say that because, well, for one, I mean, Miguel was Jack's best friend, and now he married his best friend's widowed wife. Like, so that's why he's a black sheep. But Toby is not bloodly related to them or did not grow up with them, knowing them their whole life. It's like they're kind of outcasted from the family. They're not as bonded with the family. So then, because of that, they bond with each other. And so basically, I really enjoyed this scene because the message was beautiful and simple. And that was just to take every day, literally one single day at a time. After that, we learned that what caused the episode by the mother was that she was taking 2 medications, and the allergy medication, which Randall caught, of course, they learned that that was the one that encountered with her mental health condition medication and was making it be ineffective. Here goes Randall again with the Superman vibes. Here goes Randall again saving the day and being a brainiac, like being a know-it-all. So in this next scene, we learn how Laurel dies. And that is because after she had the baby, she was just in critical pain. And she begs William for him to make sure that she can get her a little fix so that way she can go ahead, get rid of the pain, and be 100% back to normal for the baby, which she ends up overdosing. So after Randall saves the day, he decides that he's going to go back to his house, so he leaves the cabins. And so Kate actually catches him before he leaves, just to be on some, oh my gosh, I'm sorry for my white privilege. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. I'm so sorry that you're a black man and I'm just completely helpless with you on this situation. Like, that's really what it is. And Randall was like, I mean, here's one thing about growing up in a white neighborhood, in a white household. They didn't discuss race. They did not discuss race. And that is because, I mean, I'm pretty sure they were one of those I don't see color type families, but it's when we see the differences that makes it beautiful, when we are able to accept them. So anyway, he really just puts his foot down and lets her know, I'm not coddling you and your whiteness and your white privilege, which is basically what a lot of other black people in the community started to tell these white folks when they finally decided to wake up. Read your own books. And stop trying to feel sorry for me, because feeling sorry for nobody don't do nothing but create a more sorry situation. Also, before Randall leaves, Kevin has a conversation with him, which I'm like, yes, it's about time that they say something to each other. And he actually tells Randall, he's the first person to know, that Madison and Kevin are having twin boys and girls. So they're having one of each, which is, oh, it's so beautiful, right? And he's just asking for him to give advice on having a girl, which I can completely understand. And Randall is just like, listen, you gonna mess up. You gonna let that little girl do whatever she want, because that's gonna be your baby girl. Hello. But it's okay, because mamas, they gonna be better than you at this. And it's okay, because they are mothers, they are natural nurturers. So it really warmed my heart that Kevin chose Randall to be the first person to know, and that he asked for advice, because I mean, the man does have 3 daughters. I was so happy about this next scene when Randall broke up with his white woman therapist. I was like, yes, because I liked her, don't get me wrong, but as far as him being able to be 100% vulnerable with you, he needs someone that he's not going to have to tiptoe around their feelings because they are uncomfortable about the subject, or even feel like they have to educate someone before they even get into the meat of their issues. And the beautiful, beautiful last scene is when Beth is saying that it's basically tragedy that define our lives, and it's what we build around it. It's what we build around it, and how Randall was able to thrive from all of the tragedy that he was birthed from. And he created a life of miracles, a life of blessings. So, of course, as always, this episode of This Is Us was written beautifully, shot with such a genius in mind. I can't wait to review more of this series. So let me know how you feel about the show below in this episode. I'll catch you in my next one.